This is Ben Landesman with Lawson Screen and Digital Products.
This is Deborah Sexton.
This is Peter Walsh with M&R.
Scott Ritter with the Decorated Apparel Expo.
And you are listening to Two Regular Guys
Podcast.
It's hosted by Terry Combs and Aaron Montgomery.
A gift to the industry.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. It's Friday, March 20th, 2020. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me over at aaronmontgomery.info and now at oursuccessgroup.com. So today, I'm pretty excited about this today, Terry. We're going to talk to Pete Lovelace. I just, for whatever reason, he inspires the heck out of me. So you just ran through a brick wall, actually, for him. So that was
I did do that. The brick wall right behind me.
Yeah, I just ran right through it. So so really looking forward to talking to Pete Lovelace. You guys will remember him. We talked to him briefly after ThreadX. He came on before ThreadX, and in fact, I would say he pretty much solidified dad jokes on this show. So
that he did.
So anyways, we're going to be talking about being a virtuous leader, and certainly in today's world, being virtuous and having good virtues is extremely important. So looking forward to talking to Pete. In fact, this may happen. So just so you guys know, little party popper. We'll talk about that later. So
it's part of Pete's story.
yeah. And then Terry, we've got some folks checking in here. Christine, good morning, and I appreciate you joining us. And Kim and Christine says, so he's the one to blame for the dad jokes. No, let me get this straight. I am the one to blame for the dad jokes, but Pete just, made me realize that it was an important piece to add. So how about that? And Todd, good morning. Thank you for joining us. And Kevin, thank you. Great to see you, Kevin. Hopefully you're doing well out there. Terry, obviously news is a little bit different nowadays. What's happening out there?
Well, Aaron, a week ago, I was at the MBM Irving show, and it was halted abruptly. And all the folks that were going to be be-backs, as we say in the industry, they didn't get a chance. And the folks who said, well, I'll just go on Saturday, they didn't get a chance. We had 1 day to talk to customers. And then about midnight, we found out that hey, the Dallas County is shutting this thing down. And you guys, and not only that, we're opening the hall at 7 a.m. and you need to be out by 1. And so we're arranging trucks and changing flights, and it's a crazy time. Jeff Morgenthau and I did get to hang out on Thursday night with some show folks, and mostly Matt and his crew over at TRW, plus his hired guns, Don and Shandy from Texas, and
nice.
And our friend Kim from Oklahoma. So
it's all the same to you, isn't it, Terry? It's all down there.
It's somewhere east of here. Everything is somewhere east of here,
except for California. But very cool. Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys got to.
California shut down, so I hear today. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's always good to be able to hang out with some folks from the industry and, talk about things like this. So
yeah. I mean, one of the things that I've seen a lot of, and I really appreciate everybody doing this, is just all of the communing that we're doing online, and being able to still have these conversations and work through some of these tough situations together, and also have a little levity from time to time. As everybody knows, the Two Regular Guys are definitely about having some fun. So
exactly.
Speaking of fun, Adam is joining us. So we had a blast with Adam in Scottsdale, and
right,
that was always a great time. Michelle, good morning, and Charles and Jeff checking in as well. So Terry, what other news is out there on the coronavirus front?
Let me give some updates on shows that have changed. I'm supposed to be in Atlantic City right now. Obviously not. I have on my refrigerator, I have these magnetic calendars, so that when my 19-year-old daughter whips through to see what I have in the fridge, I don't know where to her apartment, she knows where I am, and I just keep erasing things. It's like a blank slate now.
Yeah.
But so the Impressions Expo in Atlantic City has moved from March 19th through 22nd to October 8th through 10th. Impressions Expo Orlando moving from April 2nd through 4th to September 10th through 12th. Right there in hurricane season.
Yeah.
Dax, Minnesota. April 3rd and 4th has moved to May 22nd and 23rd. Dax Chicagoland down in Tinley Park from April 24th and 25th through August 7th and 8th. Maybe some virtual panels, things like that are in the offing for that. And Shirt Lab Chicago has also moved to June 6th. And, here at Two Regular Guys, we're going to try to keep you updated on all this. We want to be that source to go to find out what's happening with companies and shows and things like that. So to do our part to help the industry.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, when you mentioned DAC Chicagoland, the Tinley Park show there, those dates 7th through 8th, I talked to Scott yesterday, and while they're pretty sure that that's going to happen, those are still tentative a little bit.
Right.
So, so anyhow, that he said, in fact, I will be talking to him sometime later today, and I think the decorators community is going to work with him to actually somehow figure out a way to do that virtual trade show. We've got some technology that we use in some other areas through Zoom that we might be able to pull something like that off. So, and then Christine noted here that Shirt Lab Chicago is canceled as far as she knows. June 6th was the original date.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the new date. But
yeah, there we go. So anyhow, just update there. Thank you, Christine, always keeping us in check and making us sound smarter than we are. The other thing, Terry, is we've heard, obviously everybody's getting lots of emails about what's going on. But we've heard from several folks. For example, Justin at Oklahoma Shirt Company posted that they're only going to be doing video consultations for now, nothing face-to-face in their shop. So obviously that sounds like a good idea. I mean, we're really in a fortunate place that there are lots of virtual technologies available that we can do stuff like this, can do stuff like Zoom and things like that, and for the most part, with just a decent internet connection, you can do a lot of these things and still have, I know for us, one of the things that Todd Downing and I have been doing, and funny enough, kind of a little bit of a funny story here, Terry, they did a little bit of a press release about this program. So if you see right behind me up there, oursuccessgroup.com/Q&A, we're doing a little thing called Q&A with TNA. And that stands for Todd and Aaron. So just Terry, see, it's you.
I knew, and I still went right there.
I know. So, but anyhow, they did a little write up about it, and they called Todd Terry Crews.
What?
So I think he got, I just like to work with T people. I've got Terry, Todd,
amalgamation of our names.
Yeah. So, and for those who don't know, Terry Crews is a actor, pretty well known actor. In fact, he was the president in the one movie about kind of what was I can't remember the movie now, but anyhow, we won't go down that rabbit hole.
Well, speaking of going down rabbit holes, I am, because, Aaron, for years I've been telling you, you're always making fun of me because of my junior yellow legal pads. And you're always making fun of me and saying, I always say, well, but when the zombie apocalypse comes, I'm going to have all my notes. So while everybody is stocking up on bread and eggs and lettuce for some reason, why are you people stocking up on lettuce? But I'm ready for, this is what I stocked up on. I'm ready for the apocalypse.
All right. Well, so a couple quick comments here. Cindy had mentioned that AutoCap in California location is closed for now. There definitely are a few closures, but there's also quite a few people that are still in business, so I obviously I want to look at the positives. I feel bad for the folks out there in California and AutoCap and those folks, but I'm sure they have some things that they're working on, and so just gotta keep getting a little more creative in these times. So, and then
got a message from a manufacturer in Pennsylvania today saying they are shut down by the state as well. So,
sorry, I was laughing at one of the comments there, not what you were saying there. So that was totally inappropriate of me. But Eric did help me out on the.
There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, Eric did help me out with the name of that movie, Idiocracy. Yeah. So. Anyhow, Wade, thank you for checking in, and Curtis as well. We appreciate that. What else, Terry? As you see anything else? I know we had these things listed on our show notes, but I have seen, like I said, from lots of suppliers that they are still working. I spent some time last night searching around, trying to see if I could find anything related to, any future thoughts about what the shipping companies are going to be doing. So now's the time that you want to be, really making sure your website's going and stuff like that. So Charles mentioned that he got an email from Alpha Broder saying they're closing down Pennsylvania and California distribution centers. Fortunately, I think they have several others. So, just got to give yourself a little more time. Everybody's going to understand and just be honest early and go from there. But Terry, you were going to say something before I interrupted you.
Well, since I was already said that we're going to be the source for information, and I've already said that Shirt Lab Chicago has been moved. I yield the floor to Christine.
There you go. Speaking of Christine, she says Mart is still open. We're shipping orders and grateful for everyone who's placing them. So
I do have to tell you, Harry Oster at Equipment Zone sent me a little one of those company emails where hey, we're still open for business, and it was a picture of their building with one car parked in front. So I thought, you probably a little more thought to that promotion you did.
Yeah, exactly.
We're still open because this one guy is here.
Yeah, no kidding. Photoshop a couple of cars in, would you? So real quick, Terry, before we do move along and get into what we came here for, but Dot Tone Dan is checking in as well. So appreciate everybody checking in and looking forward to having a great conversation today. Let me see if there's one more. Yeah, let's move on, Terry. I want to get to Pete as quickly as possible.
Absolutely,
but I want to celebrate.
Hey, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Two Regular Guys podcast. If you're listening to the podcast version, we would appreciate you sharing with your friends, and so they become regulators too. We would love and appreciate you to give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you're listening. And we are always looking for new guests. If you or someone would like to be on the show, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys and tell us what your ideas are. And if you're watching us live right now, join in with your comments and questions and reach out to your industry friends and tell them to tune in as well.
Yeah. So Terry, let's hear a word from our platinum sponsor, Impressions Expo. Make sure that we're supporting them. What is Impressions Expo? Impressions Expo, formerly known as ISS, is the premier trade show dedicated to the imprinted and decorated apparel industry. They have 5 shows that are produced annually in each region of the United States, including Long Beach, California, Atlantic City, New Jersey, Orlando, Florida, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and cap off the year at Fort Worth, Texas. Each of those 5 annual shows also feature over 30 seminars and hands-on workshops in categories such as screen printing, embroidery, digitizing, digital decorating, and much, much more. Visit impressionsexpo.com for more details, and while there, use the promo code RegularGuysIE for a free Expo Pass. Again, make sure you visit impressionsexpo.com to get more details, and the Two Regular Guys look forward to seeing you there.
Qué lástima, lo siento.
I even thought to myself, like, hey, got to make sure I unmute. All right.
Jay Bassell is watching because he's been saying, when Aaron doesn't turn on his mic, make sure you speak Spanish over him.
That is my, yes. Okay. So now there's a new dumb thing that I do. I appreciate that. Thanks again to the Impressions Expo. We really appreciate their support. And again, we want to make sure that we support them. Obviously, all of these changes are really difficult and going to have an impact. I talked to Jamie over there, and then they're just, because I wanted to see what we could do to help them out. And she's like, I just don't even know at this point. We're just trying to make it work. So once everything's back to normal, which in my belief, power of positive thinking, by April 15th, we're going to be heading back towards normal here is what I'm saying. So I'm going to keep saying that until somebody can prove me wrong. So after that, then, let's make sure that we're getting back and supporting all these folks and showing up at these shows. So there we go. All right. Well, Terry, shall we dive in and get Pete in here?
Absolutely. Let's bring him in.
All right.
And I think we're going to have Pete do his own bio because it's blank on my screen.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So let's see if we can get Pete in here. Hey, Pete, how are you? So,
morning, everybody. How we doing?
We are doing great. So if you could maybe just start us off and let people know a little bit about you, and then we'll dive into some info here.
Yeah, Terry, and you guys are giving me a lot of creative license here to invent a bio on the spot.
On the fly.
Yeah. You can make it up. We won't even know.
so much power. My name is Pete Lovelace. I've been in the screen printing industry for really a very short time. The majority of my career was actually in hospitality, and a lot of what I've brought into the screen printing industry, I learned in hospitality, whether we're talking about client care and service or team leadership, business management. And so a great joy I've had is really bringing that hospitality culture, that service culture into a more creative, production-oriented environment like screen printing. Our business is based here in Atlanta, Georgia. Our company is called Booster Spiritwear. We're about a $7 million a year grossing custom apparel business, serving mainly schools, nonprofit organizations, and churches. We incorporated in 2014, and tell you right now we're contemplating a lot as to what the future looks like, and I'm very different in a couple months because we are quickly pivoting and reinventing ourselves and trying to figure out what the next steps look like. But honored to be on the show, honored to be part of this incredible community of creatives and entrepreneurs and printers, and excited to spend the next time with it.
Yeah, right. Excellent. So Pete, yes, I was trying to pass blame for the dad jokes off on you, but I did own it. So, but you certainly helped solidify the need for a good dad joke. So, can I put you on the spot? Do you have anything you can bring to the table here?
I always have a good dad joke ready to go, and I think now more than ever the world needs some laughter, even if it's as a result of cheesy dad jokes. So yeah. Here's one. Why do watermelons have fancy weddings?
Why?
Because they cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe. Oh my God. I love it. Because they cantaloupe. That is. See, yes, you are exactly right. We do need that, and it's very important to make sure that we, as we mentioned, keep a little levity. So, exactly. So speaking of, you mentioned pivoting and stuff like that. We just let's do a quick check-in. We're all dealing with this pandemic. What changes have you guys made so far? Any suggestions for others to maybe weather the storm? Let's just get that out of the way here.
Yeah. Well, I think to kind of understand how you respond to a crisis like this, you have to first kind of understand what your business is rooted in. And since, I talked to everybody at ThreatX, the importance and value of our virtues has become even more prevalent in this time. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, your virtue, value, your mission, your strategy, your purpose, whatever you want to anchor to in this storm, it becomes your operating system for your business. So over the last couple of days, we've kind of been cycling through this virtuous cycle and fast forward of, okay, what does it look like to be grateful in the midst of chaos, in the midst of order cancellations and a drastically shrinking business volume? What does it look like to be grateful? What does it look like to seek wisdom? That's our virtue number 2. And right now we need wisdom more than anything. Yes, we can be cavalier and optimistic, but if we're not leading ourselves and we're not taking the next step with wisdom, we could very well add insult to injury at this point. So seeking wisdom, seeking wise counsel, reaching out to other business leaders that are encountering similar challenges, and just trying to partner with them on the best next step to take. And then caring. Right now, I mean, it's becoming very real, very fast. The impact of these shutdowns and these quarantines are having a massive impact on team members. So how do we care for people? I mean, just yesterday we did a crowdsourcing ideation session. One of the things we're going to start doing is We're going to community shop for our team. So one person every week, we're going to come up with a grocery list. One person every week is going to go to Costco, buy groceries in bulk for everybody, and then bring them back to the shop. And we'll set up almost like a community grocery store where our team can come and pick up staples like milk, eggs, that kind of stuff, and just Venmo us the money. So we're able to kind of leverage buying in bulk and care for our own team struggling to get to the grocery store and do all the things they need to do during this crisis. So just little things like that. So it's been interesting just to go through that virtuous cycle and kind of reimagine what that looks like now in comparison to what it looked like just 2 weeks ago.
Sure. Go ahead, Pete.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say how much I really I love that fact that you're just going back to those virtues, those foundations that you put in place. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. And again, this is where it matters. I think it's easy to look good and lead well when things are going well. Yeah. In a crisis is really where leaders define themselves and define what their company and what their teams are made of. So when we talk about courage and grit, there's no time like the present, which are the issues to exhibit courage and grit like the present.
Yeah, right. Sure.
We know lots changed since we were at ThreadX, but we had you did a great presentation. We had a really nice talk afterwards, and now that we're away from it and we've had time to digest it before the zombie apocalypse here. What was your biggest takeaway from ThreadX that you went to work on as soon as you got back to your shop?
Jay Baer's presentation of Hug Your Haters was really good. I think in a lot of ways we were familiar with those principles and those concepts, but I don't think we were really enlivening them and activating them the way we needed to. So I came back and just kind of immediately did an assessment of, okay, what are all the things that we're currently doing? And then what are all the things that we need to do to engage with our clients and really mine for feedback? Because sometimes I think we just are satisfied with getting the order out, sending the thank you note along with the shipping confirmation. And if we don't hear anything, we just assume they're happy. Yeah. So I don't want to be passive about that. I want to be active towards that and actually seek out feedback. So we started kind of a campaign to call our clients and reach out to our clients a week, 2 weeks after they received their order, just to personally ask them how their experience was and to see what we can do to help and to serve them in the future. So I think just taking a personalized approach. Then I love the session on marketing. I think there was some really good nuggets in terms of especially video marketing, the different kinds of videos that we can be producing and how we can focus our efforts on that. We have not done a good job, so that's something we're really ramping up. And now's the perfect time because we've got some downtime and people are spending a lot more time in front of screens because that's the only way we can be connected right now. So it seems like an opportunity to overinvest in our digital marketing and our digital outreach. Now, the presses aren't running 18 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jay Baer's presentation, I was sitting there and I was wowed by him as well. And I thought, I think all of us know this, but we sometimes need to be reminded that we need to do it, so if nothing else, that he really hit that home. And, I think that if we all follow his lead, we'll all have better companies and better workforce.
Yep. No question.
Yeah. I mean, I loved his story. I mean, he hit that point home that you were talking about there about that need for feedback. The story about the young lady that started a new job and she said, I want to get more complaints. I'm like, hold on, let's fire her. That's what you've got to understand. Like you said, Pete, people are getting their order and you don't hear from them, you say that's a satisfied customer, but do you really know that? Could you be doing better? And that's how you grow and sustain long-term business relationships. So I love that you shared that with us. So Pete, from your presentation, nothing but wonderful reviews from everybody we've talked to. I'd actually honestly say that you were I'm a huge GA Bear guy to start off with, but I felt like your presentation really resonated with me, and I loved every bit of it. So what are some of the conversations that you've had with folks, after the fact, outside of here with us, that maybe has resonated with them? What have you heard? What are some of those conversations about culture that, people took from your presentation?
I think the biggest theme that I've heard just in follow-up has been, how do I start? Like how do I architect a culture, especially in a small business? There are a lot of people. I have 3 or 4 people, so we can't do some of the things that you talked about, but what can I do in place of that? And so again, I gave them the advice of, you first need to define what is your culture. There's a lot of things that are happening kind of organically in your business that you're not even aware of, but that is your culture. And so I think first you need to do is take stock of that, define it, write it down, find a way to capture it, and then really assess, are you happy with that? Is that what you want lived out as an extension of your business in the people and in the verbiage and in the visuals that your business represents? And then if you don't, you redefine it, and then you start really forcing some of those behavior changes. And I think that I've been encouraged by people's courage to take that first step. But then, of course, I've gotten some emails and texts and social posts of, hey, I'm a week into this, and people aren't buying in, and that's why you have to force it, because people aren't just going to naturally buy in. They're going to have to be encouraged. They're going to have to be applied, and it's got to become a normal behavior, and that takes 30 to 60 days. So just trying to really encourage people to stick with it, but then eventually allow others in the organization to become culture makers, so that it doesn't just stick with you. It was funny, a week after we were out at ThreadX, we had at Booster a webinar with Cheryl Batchelder. Not sure if you know Cheryl. She was 2017 Inc.'s top CEO. She ran the turnaround at Popeye's Chicken. Unbelievably wise, humble leader. And she got online with us, did a webinar, and she talked about leaders needing to get out of the spotlight. And really, once the culture's established, you need to entrust your team to continue to develop and sustain that culture. If you're the only one that's carrying the culture torch, it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be authentic.
Yeah.
So I love that challenge, because I think that's where we are as an organization, is we've got to start now expecting our team members to teach what they have learned themselves and experienced themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a huge point that you make there, Pete, is, you can't just go out there and get a consultant and have somebody, give you these virtue statements and then just, post them on the kitchen wall and walk away from it. I mean, it is a process. And we talked about when we talked at ThreadX, your kind of flywheel where you've got to work that. And then I love that pass off, now it's time for, like you said, in your business, it's time to empower other people to be those culture leaders too. And that's where I think it really kind of, it runs itself, so to speak, if people are buying in, right?
It's the flywheel, and it takes a while to get it going, but once it's going, it can run on its own momentum. And that's you've got to get it to that point. If you stop beforehand, it'll never actually drive itself.
Yeah. All right, real quick here, Terry, before we've got a couple of comments that I wanted to share. Christine says culture needs to start with a good leader and it needs to be supported by the leader, but that's a good point. If it doesn't catch on with the employees, it's never going to last long. Employees have to become evangelists for the company culture too. And then Marshall Atkinson shared, your job as a leader is to elevate your team, not nitpick and find things that are wrong. How can they grow? Your job is to make them better. So, Pete, any follow up to either of those comments there? I think they're just confirming what you're saying, but
exactly. And I think a lot of times we jump, as I mentioned in the presentation, we jump to execution. We think our job is to focus on how the job gets done, but you got to kind of rearrange those letters, and it's not necessarily always how. It's about who's doing the job. And I think a lot of us we're operators. We're focused on numbers. We're focused on results, KPIs, and so we just jump past the who to the how. Back it up, and let's really figure out who this individual is, what motivates them. How do you, as I said in the presentation, not only get them to lend you their hands, but their head and their heart. And if you can do that, and it's going to be different for everybody, but you're going to get an unbelievably higher level of output and commitment from them. And I'll tell you what, the last 5 days has really provided evidence of that in a state of uncertainty and in a state of fear and anxiety about what is coming for us, for the industry, for the community, for the nation. It's been really cool to see our team really look each other in the eye and say, I'm for you. I want the best for you, and I expect the best from you in this scenario. And I just feel like we've led with trust and transparency, and everybody knows that they're seen and they're valued in this. And we know who's got kids at home and trying to manage this childcare situation now that schools are closed. We know who is caring for a sick parent. We know who is struggling with transportation back and forth to work. And we're stepping in to address the individuals in this story, the team members in this story, not just necessarily the impact on the business.
Yeah.
Well, and when you build a culture, it shines when a situation like this happens, and so you're prepared. It's like you're stocked and ready for any situation. So, but Pete, Aaron and I loved your presentation, and couldn't wait to talk to you after the presentation and for a little brief show. But more than anything, we were impressed with all the stories about your leadership and how to become a virtuous leader. So tell us, what's a day in the life of Pete Lovelace? What does that look like?
Well, first of all, you're kind to say what you said, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say, there's a whole team here at Booster Spiritwear, and each one of those team members is living out our virtues and adding unbelievable value. So it's fun for me to come on your podcast and share this, but it's really to the credit of the 42 people behind me that are actually making this possible. So I can go share about our culture to you all and the rest of the world. I just don't want to overlook that key point. Day in the life, I think a couple of years ago, I figured out that the best leaders have a routine, have a ritual, and there is something about starting the day early, sort of before the noise and the chaos starts to gain on you. You kind of get out ahead of it. And so there's a lot of mornings I'll get up at 4:45. I'll go to a 5 a.m. workout class, and I work out with a couple business leaders and people that are kind of part of my community. So it's just a good opportunity to start the day with people I admire, people I respect, and people that know me and know what I do and how I like to lead my life. And then I just go into kind of a 30, 45-minute time of just reflection and preparation for the day. And that looks different. It could be reading. It could be listening to music or listening to an inspirational podcast or something like that. But just trying to ready myself for the day that's ahead. And then I go through. So that takes me up till about 6:30 or so. I go home and I spend time with my family and I get them ready, get the kids ready for school, check in with my wife, Em, just see what she needs for the day. And then everybody's kind of off and running by 7:15, but that's the key. By 7:15, when the world is kind of waking up, starting to throw things at me, I'm prepared to deal with it versus kind of just still wiping the sleep out of my eyes and trying to get my bearings straight while the world's throwing stuff at me. So I try every day to bring the best version of myself to work because that's what our team deserves. And the best version of me is not waking up at 7:15 and scrambling to get to work on time and not prepared for the meetings that I have that day and not making time for the team and walking the floor. That's not the best version of me. So morning routine has become key to daily success.
Cool. That is a great piece of advice there. That just get prepared, and then you're ready to tackle any of these changes and things that are happening. So love that piece of advice, folks.
Aaron, I'm going to ping you at 4:45 tomorrow to make sure that you're up and getting your day started.
Yes.
I'm just glad you call me on it.
Well, I am doing a video at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. But I am not a morning person, so this is going to be a challenge.
I'm not.
Okay, well, good. I appreciate that. Makes me feel good. Like I can make this happen. So, Pete, real quick here. So, how many confetti cannons do you guys go through there at Booster every year?
That's a lot.
All right. No, in all seriousness, I actually do have one here, and I've been showing it off a little bit. You suggested this at ThreadX. I went to
and
our
demonstrated.
And demonstrated. Yep. I went to our good friends over there, as Terry likes to call them, Skynet or Amazon, and I think I got 15 of these for about $12. I've not launched one yet, so we'll see how this goes. But no, obviously in the times that we're in right now, celebration is something that seems challenging. But one of your virtues that you shared with us at ThreadX is that celebrate, that opportunity to. In fact, I love the story you shared about the fact that most people have never gotten applause since they graduated high school. I think that's like really important to remember. Heck, whenever I've done a presentation, you get applause afterwards and you're like high for the next, hours or whatever. So talk about that, celebration, especially now, if that's core to your company, how are you guys able to celebrate, and what does that do for your team?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, I think one of the points that stuck with people, or at least one of the points that people spoke about, was the cruise, the video I showed you guys from the cruise.
Yeah.
We're not going on a cruise this year. Like that. We've already said it is off the table. We're not going to be doing kind of over the top icing on the cake type celebrations, which have sort of become distinctive and the hallmark of Booster. So to be very honest with you, I'm trying to imagine and reinvent what celebration looks like, knowing that it's not going to be this over the top kind of excitement, experience, adventure type celebration. So what we do know is that we value it and that we're committed to it and that people need it. I just think it's going to look different in the season ahead. And so one of the things that I think we need to recognize is just what are the daily wins that we can celebrate. I mean, we got 25% of our team has elementary school kids at home. And I want to find a way to celebrate that. Like overnight, our QC supervisor, Maria, has had to become a homeschool teacher.
Sure.
And what does that look like? And how can we just celebrate her? I mean, we were talking yesterday about wouldn't it be fun for all the parents who are trying to homeschool if we made them shirts that, was like #1 teacher or something like that, just something to celebrate, affirm, and honor what they're doing. So it might be more subtle. It might be more low key in this season, but we're not going to stop celebrating people, and we're not going to stop enthusiastically affirming others and calling out their strengths and accomplishments, because right now it's so easy to be consumed with the gloom and doom and the uncertain future. But bottom line is there's good things still happening around us all day long, every day. And I just think we now more than ever, we need to celebrate that. Yeah. So there's still be confetti cannons popping off. There's still going to be team huddles where we give everybody a round of applause and just call out the good things that are happening. And now more than ever, I think we need to just focus on our people, because whether it's our clients or our own team members. I sent an email to a client last night. I just has done an unbelievable job pivoting their business model overnight. And I just reached out to him and I said, I just want to congratulate you guys and celebrate you, because you are offering something that we all desperately need right now. And if it weren't for you, that need would be going unmet. So thank you for doing what you're doing. We want to celebrate you for kind of facing this crisis head on. And that's what celebration looks like right now. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's huge. Well, we'll get you out of here on this here after a little bit, but I do have one other question because I saw on one of your screens that you shared you had an Asana project that you had up there, and I just started using that tool. So, how much do you love Asana, and what are people missing out that are not using it? I'm falling in love with it instantly here.
I just love that it brings clarity and accountability to the things that I'm responsible for and the people I'm responsible to for things. And I love that there's just this clear, transparent scoreboard essentially for where I'm at and where my team's at on certain commitments we've made to one another and to the business. I also thought it was really interesting, and I didn't know that's what Ryan Moore was going to kind of talk about, but he has a different system called Scrum, but very similar type of cadence of accountability and collaboration. And again, I always say, study the masters that came before you and do as they do. Yeah. Like the guy that's next level, we all know him, we all love him. He's doing incredible things. If that system's working for him at the level of Rock US and Ryan Med and Allmade, it's probably a good system for a lot of us to adopt. Sure. Who are aspiring to get to that next level of business growth and professionalism. So it's a great tool.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Great.
Good deal. All right, Terry. Well, what else do we got for Pete, or can we get him out of here?
I think it's time to let him get back to work, man. We really appreciate you being on today, Pete. And so what's new and good with you? How can people find you? How can people find Booster Spiritwear?
Well, we've got social handles on Instagram and Facebook. It's booster.spirit.wear. And we're going to be ramping up a lot of content. Like I said, I was inspired by what was shared at ThreadX about kind of the behind the scenes video and some of that more organic, raw footage to really tell your story. And we want to tell a lot of stories right now because there's good things happening in the world of printing, in the world of Booster. And we kind of want to be a light right now to encourage and inspire others to just stay focused and take the long view. We're going to get out of this. So come check us out on social media. And then I'm Lovelace Pete on Instagram. And I've got one more dad joke, if you all don't mind me.
Yes, I would love it, please. In fact, Eric, if you would maybe throw us to the wider view here, and we will get this confetti cannon done too.
All right. What do you call a pudgy psychic?
Pudgy psychic.
I don't know.
Pudgy psychic. A fortune teller.
Fortune teller. All right.
I was trying to go to
works.
medium somehow, but that doesn't work.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome. That's
All right.
awesome.
Well, that was that's going to be some cleanup. I like it. Awesome.
You start those off at public facilities, they'll usually hit you with like $100 cleaning charge. So.
Yeah. Well, I've got my little closet office here that I'll be cleaning for the rest of the afternoon, but well worth it. Celebrate. Pete, we want to celebrate you. Thank you so much. What a great conversation, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Pete.
All right. Well, yeah. Got some in my coffee and everything. Oh, I'm still wearing a lot of it. Those things are awesome. All right.
For anybody who doesn't know, when we were talking about the cruise, and Pete took his entire crew to the Bahamas as a celebration, and so the second day of ThreadX, when people were being asked, well, what did you take away from this presentation? What did you take away from that one? And as soon as Pete's name came up, a voice in the back goes, "We're all going to Bahamas."
That's awesome. That's really awesome. All right, let's catch a couple of comments here, Terry. And Marshall says, let's see, EEs want training and to grow, empower people with stretch goals, communication, and training. Get people used to being slightly uncomfortable, as that's where there's growth. And then Christine says, as I said in the video Eric and I did a few days ago, marketeers are just storytellers. Trade secrets I'm now revealing to the world. So good stuff there. And then Christine follows it up after the confetti cannon. No confetti cannons at DAX, although it would be fun. Yes, I will probably not be bringing that to DAX because the cleanup there right now is contained in my little office, though I'm still covered in it.
I'm sure Scott and Margie would say, yeah, that was really fun the first time you did it. Stop bringing those. But Aaron, we know you have 14 more, but
well, now I know what kind of mess they're going to make. So yeah. Okay. All right. Well, good. It's cool. It's awesome. And hey, as we talk, Terry, it's the things happening right now are happening. But what we can control are our responses to these things,
Exactly.
So we can choose to be, a certain way, or we can choose to go, you know what, we're going to make it through this. We're going to move to the next day. We're going to live our virtues. And when we, like you talked about the homeschoolers, my wife and I are figuring out, how the heck are we going to homeschool our 8-year-old? We've been blessed with so many great teachers for so long now that burden falls on us with the support of the teachers that he has. But yeah, he's trying to figure out his new routine. And so giving him an opportunity to shoot off one of these in our basement to celebrate when he, reaches a goal of his, I think is important. So, I just don't want people to lose sight of those things.
Aaron, and what I said to Pete, and I want to reiterate that his company was prepared. They already live in a virtuous way, and his story is incredible. And this is a lesson for all of us, because, this is going to end. This is going to, we're all going to come out of this, and sooner rather than later. And it's a good lesson, though, to try to model yourself after the Pete Lovelaces of the world, and because something like this will happen again, and that way you're going to be prepared.
Exactly. I love it, Terry. That's a huge point. I mean, being able to have those values that you live by, it puts you in that prepared place. But guess what? Even if you didn't have that in place, I think much earlier Jeff had mentioned, they're doing the maintenance early. They're take this time to invest in yourself, to invest in your company. Terry, you and I and Eric were having a conversation in our Hangouts earlier about, sometimes people are concerned, and so they're putting off things and sitting on their hands a little bit. But I said, I think that's a huge mistake. I think now is the time to invest. Now is the time to, take advantage of the little bit of extra downtime and invest in yourself, and invest in learning. Pete talked about wisdom and gaining wisdom. Invest in the future because, like you said, this is going to change sooner rather than later. And we need to be prepared when, all the schools are placing all those orders again and people are celebrating and who's going to be there to provide them the merch, the show off shirts and the things like that. Those are the people that will be taking advantage of the fact that they've spent this time learning how to thrive as opposed to, burying themselves in a hole. So,
Aaron, while people are running around like their hair's on fire, just running in circles, I took my entire year's 401k money and invested it last week. I thought, well, here's the situation. Now, how am I going to address the situation? I'm going to buy low.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see online, this number of people lost how many billions of dollars. Nobody lost anything unless they sold it when it was in the basement.
Yeah.
It all turns around. It all comes back. So,
sure.
Jay Bassell and I in an hour are going to be doing a webinar just on this subject and specifically, how can I take advantage of this situation? And I think people are hungry for that information because the 100 seats we had available filled up instantly.
Yeah.
So, we'll probably do it again, maybe record it and it'll be available out there and we'll have it linked. But,
cool.
Just talking about, okay, here we are. What am I going to do about it? And sitting on my hands is not the answer.
Correct. Yeah. So, in fact, Eric chimed in with, there's no better time than now to start. If not now, when? And then Cindy, Cindy, I realize that those of us trying to figure out homeschooling, we need to realize that this is not necessarily a problem. It's a lack of of us being able to do that. So homeschooling for 33 years, I love it, and may have to reach out to Cindy for some advice from time to time.
Right. We'll have a link to homeschooling here at the
exactly. How to get help. Cindy King will be your guide, and that'll be perfect.
I could do homeschool, but all I could do is teach your kids how to be screen printers. I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, that's all right. All right. So Christine says, what's been amazing is how much people are banding together and thinking of each other. For all of the stories of those who aren't behaving well, there are countless more stories of people who are helping each other. Yeah. I'm also very impressed by so much of that happening in the industry. We're an awesome group, and I agree with that. So high five, Christine. Totally.
I do have a comment for all those people out there that are at the grocery store at 6 a.m. Based on the things that are sold out at the grocery store, as I look around, none of you people are going to survive the zombie apocalypse. You're buying all the wrong stuff. Lettuce only keeps for a few days. Why are you buying all the lettuce?
All right. So a couple of other things before we get out of here, Terry. First off, Eric's got, speaking of learning and growing and taking this advantage of this opportunity, Eric's got demystifying next level digitizing. He's a webinar that he's going to be presenting on March 28th. And it's one of his most popular classes from the trade show floor. So he's going to be teaching it online, talking about better running, bolder, more beautiful embroidery with a faster cycle time from concept to completion. So if you're an embroiderer out there, you do not want to miss out on this. Just head over to bit.ly/Eric DD. And remember, Eric is spelled with an H, ERICHDD. Terry, what about you? What do you got coming up now that your schedule's cleared a little bit, but you still have plenty of things happening, right?
It's amazing. Somebody called me yesterday and said, so what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, well, one thing I have to do is I have to buy groceries for more than 3 days.
Exactly.
Every time I'm at the grocery store, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving on Tuesday, so I can only have this much, and because I'll go in the trash. But my scheduling and estimating production time for screen printers, a 4-part presentation is going to be begin April 7th. It's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it's going to be every Tuesday night in April. And I'm sure that Eric's going to put the link up, or maybe he already did.
He did. It's right there. So it's decorators.education/SEPT.
But it's not in September.
It's not in September. It just stands for scheduling and estimating production time. So I'm an acronym guy, so it happens. So.
Well, and you actually sent me that acronym, and I'm like, no, Aaron, it's in April, not September.
I realized the folly of my way, but it was already there. So it's all good.
On Saturday, May 23rd, I will be presenting on being a great, all caps, great screen printer. That's going to be at Dax, Minnesota. My upcoming complete screen printing business course, and some of these my courses later in the year have already been rearranged because of shows shifting around. So check my website. But the next one I'm going to be doing at Workhorse Products here in Phoenix is going to be May 2nd through 3rd. And I'll be in Atlas, Chicago, June 27th and 28th. And all of my events are updated again, Aaron. It was a lot of shifting and moving around, but everything that I'm doing in 2020 is at my website, terrycombs.com, under the tab tour dates. And Aaron, what do you have coming up?
Well, April 1st is going to be the next Our Success Group training. We're going to be talking about focusing your way to success by finding your niche. We actually did a little flip-flop there because April 1st was going to be setting up for a successful vendor fair. But the members, the OSG members, said, "Hey, no vendor fairs happening right now. Let's flip-flop those." So we're going to talk. We're basically going to help people with tools and ways that you can actually hone in on your niche. Terry, you and I talk about niche marketing all the time and how important that is. So I'm really excited to present that to folks. If you go over to oursuccessgroup.com and check that out, you can actually sign up and buy either the past trainings or upcoming trainings, kind of, I would say a la carte. I don't know why I say a la carte, and I think food, but individually, so to speak. But the better deal is to sign up for a monthly or an annual membership over there at oursuccessgroup.com. Actually, we have some pretty sweet deals going on the memberships until the 15th of April. So now is your time to take advantage of those. The other thing, Terry, I wanted to share with folks is if you use the code SMILESTONES, and it's a take on milestones, but Smilestones, you get 25% off of our 5 Keys series, the 5 Keys to Launching or Growing Your Business. And it was a video series that we did, training and tools to help you determine your overhead, pricing for profit, organizing your workflow, and creating great customer experiences, wrapping it up with an overview on marketing. So that's at oursuccessgroup.com/5keys. And you can get that for 25% off. That includes all the video training. Plus we have several tools, spreadsheets and things like that. I don't know if you can kind of see it, the green lettering right above me here says data hipster. That's my new hashtag. Instead of being a nerd, it's a data hipster is what I am. So I love the spreadsheets. So that's over there. Yeah, I love the nightlife. That's right. I only brought one.
And you're all glittered also. So
yeah. I pour this over the top of my head. I only brought one confetti cannon. So anyhow, and then you mentioned Dax, Minnesota happening. So I will be also presenting there, starting in e-commerce, what works and what didn't. And my wife will be along for that presentation because we basically have built her business, weheart.biz, on an e-commerce platform, and all of the things that we've learned along the way since we got that started, we've put into a presentation to kind of help you skip some of the stumbling blocks that we have had along the way. So I'm looking forward to having her provide some feedback too, and not just me. She can tell you all the inside scoop about what kind of a pain in the butt I am. But that's happening on May 22nd at 12:30. And we're excited to get the decorators community back to Dax, when they're up and running again. As I mentioned, maybe talking to Scott later today. So we want to participate in just keeping all of this going and communing and whatnot. So exciting stuff, but it's also necessary stuff. So we appreciate everybody tuning in and spending some time with us in all these different venues that you'll find us. So Terry, I guess we've kind of come to the end. We mentioned some of the changes to the trade shows. We do have the trade show list is updated as we have it on the show notes
as of right now today.
After today's show, we'll have that down there. So when the show notes get up for today's show, we'll have those final latest adjustments, the DAX Chicago adjustment, in there. So you can always check that out just over at tworegularguys.com. I finally got caught up with all of our past shows after our travel schedule. So yeah, you can find everything from past Two Regular Guys there over at tworegularguys.com. And Yeah, I mean, what a great show, Terry. Thanks so much to Pete. Thanks so much, Pete, for sharing his leadership and sharing, how to get through this stuff, and really great information. So again, check out Pete over there at Booster Spiritwear, or I love following him on Instagram. Lovelace_Pete is where you find him over there. So thanks very much, Pete.
We also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell. You can find him at ericcampbell.com. If you're listening to the audio version, that's spelled E. Rich Campbell. Sorry, Eric. I got to do it every once in a while. That's Eric's rapper name, E. Rich.
Yeah, that's actually part of Terry's contract.
It is. I get to say it once a month. The funniest though was when I said it when he didn't expect it on the show. So
yeah, exactly.
Hey, we also want to thank our sponsor, Impressions Expo. Those guys are working really hard over there, making changes and making sure we have a great show coming up. So thanks to Impressions Expo.
Yeah, get over there, check them out, register for their shows, tell them the Two Regular Guys sent you, and that we're thinking about them, and that we care about what's going on over there. Terry, next week I've got a pretty awesome guest. In fact, he's sitting next to me right now. We're gonna talk about scheduling, estimating production time. You've got those videos coming up, and I just think that this is a huge opportunity for folks to take advantage and learn. And you've had a couple of years of experience in doing this, so you may have a few tips and tricks you can share, right?
I have spent a little time on the production floor, scratching my head, saying there's got to be a better way, and estimating production time and scheduling is what came of that. So I appreciate you saying that, Aaron. But until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And we are the Two Regular Guys. Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.